What's going on, guys? This is Demian from the Lookout, and this is my first deck profile. This is my Bulma. I took her to 10th place at the Pyrkon event. I went 3-2, and I'm super excited to do my first deck profile. So I'll keep this brief, under 20 minutes, and I'll try to go into as much detail, as many details as possible. So Bulma, it's an old leader, permanent. All of your yellow and your red Saiyans and Earthlings have blocker. Activate main once per turn, draw a card. Awaken at 4 life, switch 2 energy to active mode, and then flip her over. She has the same permanent, and on the other side she has once per turn you draw 2 cards. So it's 5k here, 10k here, but she doesn't need to attack to draw cards, so which is awesome. If you're going first, you can draw. And yeah, people usually play her as Earthlings. We're doing something a lot different here. This is a much more aggressive version of Bulma. It's control mid-range-ish, but you are control combo-ish, but you are more aggressive with your life. You're less defensive than Bulmas usually are. So, first off, for our turn 1, we are playing our 1-drops. We are playing 3 copies of bandages, and we are playing 4 copies of Baba. When you play Baba, you search your deck for a bandages card, up to 1 bandages, you put him in your drop, and then you play him. Always do this. Always, at any point in the game, look through your deck first if you're playing this deck, because we are playing a combo that wins us the game. So whenever I play her, I check the deck for all of my combo pieces, and then I know, like, okay, if some of them are in my life, if the majority is in my life, I need to take life more aggressively. Yeah, so that's your turn 1 play, usually. We'll go over other 1-drops briefly. 2 copies of Broly Crown. He's a blocker because of Bulma. You look at your opponent's hand, you discard something for 20. There's a combo with this, so we will put it on the side. 2 copies of Widell. When you play her, you negate the attack, and then you play her. She gains blocker because of Bulma. It's pretty standard. Didn't really see that much play. Okay, we'll put her here, and then we're entering the meat of the deck. We aren't playing Earthlings. We're playing something better. We are playing the Gogeta engine. 3 copies of prepping Goku and prepping Vegeta. When you play him, you search top 3 for a Veku. We don't have Vekus, or a Vegeta BR, which is this one, and then you add it to your hand. You put the remaining on the bottom of your deck, and at the end of the turn, this guy or this guy goes back into your hand. It's a way to search for stuff. We are also playing 3 more, which are 3 copies of Godly Yora Goku and 3 copies of Godly Yora Vegeta. Now, if you're someone who wants to play this deck, what would I change? I would remove one of these, add the 4th copy here. I think this is okay, because you want to find these guys to take life. And with Goku, you want to find these guys, you know, to do his effect, basically. The reason is that we are trying to awaken on turn 3 every game. And these are our key cards, how we do this. Why and how? Turn 3, 1 second. So turn 3, you can Union Fusion into Gogeta 5-drop. Okay, so I will go over everything briefly. This is our most powerful turn. Start of the turn, let's say you're at 5 life. You draw 1 card. This is where, like, yellow set 1 Frieza type of turn. Then you activate Bulma, you draw your 2nd life. Okay, you're at 5, so you Union Fusion with these guys, you take 1 life, that's 3 cards in hand, you play this guy. He plays for 3 red Union Fusion, and then you get to draw 2 cards. That's 5. You're out of energy, you awaken, you flip to energy to active mode, you use her activate main here, that's 2 more cards, that's 7 cards, turn 3. You have a guy whose permanent is that he cannot get KO'd, and his auto is when he enters, he puts a marker on one of your Unisons, and he gives the entire all of opponent's battle cards -15 for the turn. That's crazy. So you have 2 energy and 7 extra cards in that 1 turn. Next up, I'm still gonna keep these guys here because it's gonna be important. What do you do with this guy? Well, you're looking to clear the field, and then afterwards you are on the same turn. You can play this guy, the 6-drop. This is your most powerful battle card in the game. He gains blocker because of Bulma. He has double strike, EX evolve on a 5-drop, and he has a permanent, same as this one, by the way. He cannot get KO'd. So he's a 35k double striker blocker who cannot get KO'd. When you play him, you put 2 markers on a Unison, and then you can apply battle cards for the remainder of the turn. That's fine. We're not looking to play anything else on that turn. And he has a different auto, another auto. Whenever he attacks, he negs something for 20, or whenever your opponent attacks. You can do this once, and then you negate the skill for the rest of the turn. So when it comes to blockers, this guy is basically a 2-for-1, because he can block, and the other attack he can neg something for 20. It's very important to get him out. So usually what we do is I always try to keep this guy, and I always try to keep mulligan and keep the 5-drop. When it comes to Gogeta, if I don't have this guy in hand, I am searching for the 1-drop. The 1-drop is then used to search for this guy, because he has the effect which says when you use him in the Union Fusion, you look at top 7 for a Gogeta. You already drew 7 cards from Bulma this turn, so you will probably hit one of them, but in case that you didn't, you use this one. Of course, if you get a 5-drop and 2 materials for fusion, you keep those materials. If you happen to hit one of these guys, that's even better. So 99% of the time, the way the turns goes is you play Baba turn 1, you play bandages, you don't use them as blockers, you let your opponent attack you. Then turn 2, you either play one of your Unisons, or if you don't have, for example, this guy or this guy, you have these guys instead, then you can play them, search out these 2. And then, you know, you search for your Gogeta 6-drop if you don't have it. And yeah, basically turn 3 you will have 2 energy, and you will have this guy on the field, and if you haven't blocked by then, if your opponent isn't hyper aggressive, you will have 2 blockers on the field as well. So that is for these guys, and actually I'm gonna leave them here for a second, because there is also something else. What do you do with your 6-drops? Well, first off, it's a 35k double striker that negs something for 20. If your opponent doesn't have any counters, you can neg their leader by 20, and they're taking the 2 damage. There is no scenario in where they're gonna combo like half of their hand. So yeah, if they have really like 20 cards in hand, you can always try to super combo or something. I don't really recommend it, but it's fine. Most of the time this guy is just here to defend you and to push for 2 damage to put your opponent at 2. I don't play the VG2 in this deck, VG2 Unison. Instead, I play these 2 guys, SSB Gogeta Fusion's Pinnacle. He EX evolves for 1 red onto a 6-drop, so that means like you cannot, because of the 6-drop, you cannot do this in the same turn, but next turn you can do this. He has triple strike and auto sparking 10. When you EX evolve into him, your opponent cannot use skills of battle cards for the turn. This is good if you have upfront information on your opponent's hand, which you can get from Broly and another card in the deck. If your opponent has like blockers or something, if your opponent has like, let's say, Mecha Frieza, and you know like, okay, I don't need like, if I do this 35, he will just neg it. I EX evolve into this guy, he cannot now counter my attack 30k triple strike. So they only came up once. I would remove one of them from the deck and play something else. And our win conditions are the 8 drops. 8 drops are basically, they won me every game. This is the combo. 8 goes on 6. It cannot go on 7. So that would be too good, because then you could like EX, evolve, shut down all of their skills, and then just play this guy. Anyway, he is a 35k EX Evolve, you discard 2, double striker, permanent. He can attack battle cards in active mode, and he cannot get KO'd. His auto, he has one auto that says whenever you attack a card, a battle card, you ready him, which is crazy. But I have never once attacked with this guy. You play him for his other auto. When you play him, you check your opponent's field. If they don't have a battle card, you crit them for 2 life. This is how you win. Especially because today more and more decks have self-awakeners. So your opponents are looking to drop on 4 life. You just swing with this guy, neg them, deal 2 damage. If their field is empty, you use, if it's not, you know you have this guy, you have some other cards to keep it empty, you can neg something else, doesn't matter. Once the field, once they are on 2 life, play this guy, you win the game. If they don't have anything on the field, of course. Always make sure that you have these guys. I would maybe even also go like 4 of these, because I'm playing only 2 of these. I would take one of these out and add the third one of the 8 drops, just so that you can get them as soon as possible. Now we will go on over something else. I don't think that we need this part of the deck anymore. Unisons, 1 KP. 1 KP, 1 Piccolo Junior, pretty standard. I will play 4, but they got banned. They got limited to 1 just 2 days after I bought them. Fine. And here is something spicy that you will never see, except here. Gotenks Unison of Rage. This is the worst red Unison in the game. That's my honest opinion on it. But why am I playing it? Well, Masked Saiyan, the other red 2-drop, just draws me a card. This guy allows me, he has the effect auto, when your leader gets snagged, it gets plus 10k. So for the turn, with +1, he negs Bulma by 5k, he gives her 10, so she can attack on the unawakened side, and she can also attack your opponent's leader on awakened side, which is very good. With this +1, you take a life. This goes into play, as I've said, you really want to awaken on turn 3. So if you're playing against a slower deck, you look for your Unison in your starting hand, and then you can burn your own life. Your opponent, because 99% of leaders draw cards when they attack, your opponent is still going to attack you. Let's say he attacks you twice, you take 2 life, you play this guy, you burn a life, maybe next turn they don't attack, doesn't matter. You know, if you're playing against a very slow deck, use this guy to burn lives. But more importantly, -2. -2 is super easy to accomplish, because both of your Gogetas add markers. -2, you neg your leader by 5, you look at your opponent's hand, and then you get to discard either 1 multicolored card or 1 battle card with 10k or less. So, against launch, this won me the game, because I was playing against red-green launch. What this usually does is it gets rid of their super combos. It's not the best effect in the game. I keep telling you, this is the worst Unison in the game, the worst red one. But it gives me hand information, and hand information is crucial if I want to play this guy. So a lot of the times before I EX evolve into him, I go -2, I look at their hand, and then I see like, okay, how can I plan my turn so that I can EX evolve into this guy and win? Best case, you -2, you get rid of their super combo, you play Brawly Crown, you get rid of something else, you neg them for 2 cards. Okay, that is for Unisons. Okay, so this isn't here. Okay, we don't need this anymore. 3 copies of Yamcha, pretty standard. They weren't useful. They were useful only in a Bulma mirror match, because you already have so many ways to clear the board. I would rather maybe put a Wolfang Fist in instead, just because I am struggling with barrier in this deck. This is of course my personal opinion. I was looking to lower the amount of cards. You would probably, maybe you would like to play an additional Yamcha, or you think that 3 is fine. They really didn't do much, especially once the Gogeta is on the field, just remove stuff, but it's always a nice option to have. I would rather still use Wolfenfest. Okay, one new roller, pretty standard. It's great for pushing if your opponent, let's say, uses, you try to attack with your Gogeta, they use the token negate, your Unison has a billion markers on him, play this guy, attack, go through blocker, deal the 2 damage, EX evolve into a drop, win the game. Actually no, you cannot do it like this, but yeah, what I'm saying is it's a good way to put your opponent on 2 life. That's it. You need to remove the tokens with something else. Yeah, my bad. This guy, 2 copies, barrier removal, super important in this deck. Second is his auto. When you play him, you KO everything that's 20k or less. The combo that you have here is if you are playing against a longer game, against a deck that has bigger threats like boss monsters and stuff without barrier, you can always Union Fusion into this guy, give everything minus 15, get them, let's say, like 30ks, 25ks, just give them minus 15 to get them in below 20 range, pay 3, wipe the board. It happened, I think, like twice or something. Super useful combo, but mostly barrier removal. We are playing 4 copies of Trunks Super Combo. Not Trunks, Jesus Christ, Ready Super Combo. I use this instead of Nappa because we're playing a combo deck and a combo control deck, and I believe that even though Bulma draws a lot, I prefer to dig for my combo pieces and to dig for my control removal stuff, and that's why I prefer this guy. He's online turn 3, he is a super combo, he draws you 2. It's worth more than just, you know, a 10k blocker on the field that you can use for 10k combo later. It's really worth a lot more, in my opinion. Finally, 2 copies of Violent Rays, pretty standard. It's a floodgate for big things, and 2 copies of Toppo. This guy is super clutch. I'll tell you why. Because turn 3, you awaken, you have 2 energy, you have your 6 drop to protect you. You've probably wiped your opponent's board, but in case that you didn't, and in case that your opponent plays something so aggressive that they can get around your 6 drop, that they can just keep swinging, keep like overwhelming, bringing new stuff in, you just say like, okay, I have 2 energy, play Toppo, you can't attack anymore for this turn, you go into turn 4, which is usually your kill turn. With this guy, you're fine. I would, in fact, add 1 more to the deck. Maybe I will take out Videl, add 1 more of these guys in, because I'm trying to keep, because we are digging for pieces. Camera. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, because we are digging for pieces, I'm trying to have like as less cards as possible. And finally, we are going through our side super quick. Crown, just 1 more for hand control to remove things that we don't like. This guy, to get rid of floodgates, never came up. Really, we're not attacking that much, so never came out. This guy, okay, you know what this guy does. The problem with him is I took 2 of these to switch out the 7 drop for them. The problem is that I never used it because it costs 4 and you awaken turn 3, so basically you're tapping out for this effect, and honestly it's not worth it. I would put something else instead. And finally, I have heavily sided against blue, so 4 copies of Mai, and to prevent their D-Magics and other counter stuff, and 2 copies of Reddit's the Oppressor. Yeah, so this is for against blue. And the last things are, well, making it in 20 minutes. Awesome. The last thing, 2 strategies of Universe 7. I would take out this guy for the third one, or maybe if I'm feeling no, hell, I would take out these guys for the third one, maybe even fourth. If I'm playing against blue, my biggest issue, the card that I hate so much, is the blue Unison, because the 6 drops, they don't have barrier. So you give them this, then you swing with one of them into the blue Unison, you neck him for 20, you get rid of one of the markers, you double strike him, and then you get rid of 2 more, that's 3 less, and then with the other guy you attack the leader, you activate his auto, you neck the bull for the last marker. It's very good. So that is the deck. My matchups were game number 1 against red-green launch. It was a very good game, and it got carried by my Unison, who got to discard red-green stuff like Eradicate or Peace. The second one was against blue starter Gogeta, where I got a lot of these because I draw so much. I got Mice, I got Reddits, I got all of my protection online, and then it was basically game, because it's super hard for blue to fight through this. Game number 3 against Fred, who went undefeated. So yeah, I lost to GT. He played Yamcha on my turn 1, he got rid of my blockers, and then he just critted me completely. Game number 4, again, I lost against Skillless Gohan. We have the deck profile on the channel. Also, very clutch game, yeah, against an amazing player. I didn't get to draw all of my stuff on time, and yeah, this happens sometimes. And finally, game number 5, I played against Bulma with Earthlings. Honestly, I don't like, I played so much Bulma Gogeta. I think this is the best Bulma build. I think that Bulma Fireball is awful. I think that Bulma Earthlings is a good prison deck, because you can lock your opponent with the Vegeta Unison, but that deck doesn't have the protection that the Gogeta 6-drop offers. So when playing against Bulma, the way that I won is that you just don't attack her, and that's basically it. You don't let her flip, because unless you're playing the Unison, the Union fusions and stuff, it's very difficult for Bulma to burn life. That's basically it. 23 minutes, awesome. I hope that you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and tomorrow is a big announcement, so subscribe for that, and I will see you guys in the next video.